Okay, so let me just go ahead here and get me pot of gold. Get some gold here. So a couple things people had to get used to with Koshka, and that was essentially changing the game style a little bit more. So in the past, Koshka was really OP in the early game, and she could just delete people because of the basic attack follow-up proc that she got with her ability. So people were abusing that and making her super strong. But now what they've done is they've balanced it out. So they've reduced, or they've increased the cooldown on her twirly death, which means that you can no longer spam that second proc that she gets to delete people out. You have to actually time your initiations and your team fights a little bit more. What Koshka used to do is she used to just jump into the middle of a team fight with like tons of defensive items, just twirl around, proc the damage, twirl around, proc the damage, twirl around, proc the damage. You just do that and spam it. So what the devs did is they did a couple things. They reduced some of the damage on that second proc that she gets, and then they've increased now the twirly death cooldown, so you can no longer just jump into a team fight, sit there and just twirl and proc anymore. You can no longer really do that because you'll just die real quick. So what you now have to do is you have to jump in, twirl, proc the damage, get out, circle around. When it's up again, come back in and do it again. And so essentially what they did is they've made her a true assassin, which I am completely happy that they did this, because before she was just too OP, and it's not really how assassin classes should work. I'll talk more about that in a second. Let me first talk about level progression. Now for me, I like to start out with the crystal bit like everyone else does, and then I go for 2 pots. Okay, 2 pots. Now first, I always do my Twirly Death now. So her abilities are Pouncing Fun, Twirly Death, Yummy Catnip Frenzy, or sometimes I call it Crazy Catnip Frenzy. And so that's what I do in the beginning game. Now there's a couple approaches you can do here. A lot of people take the backs first, which is good because it puts you in a better position than to go and engage. But in some cases, if you do get a really good spawn out and you're all synced up, you may actually want to go and try to steal those bottom 2 here, because Koshka can farm really fast. And so Koshka clears farm, one of the fastest farm clears in the game currently. So you could go over here and you could go steal these real quick. Now I wouldn't risk going over to here and stealing those, because that will take too much time, and what will happen is you'll be too low in terms of health to take your backs, and the enemy will just counter push and take your backs and your fronts. So essentially, when we level progression, I max out, I overdrive my Twirly Death until I hit 6, then get your Yummy Catnip Frenzy, continue to max out your Twirly Death, and then max out your Pouncy Fun with your final point into your ultimate. Now the ultimate is for mid-high to high tier people can very easily block your Yummy Catnip Frenzy, so it's not that reliable of a stun, but you can manage to catch people off guard if you do it right. Now there's a couple of things you can do here with your buys, okay? The first thing you can do here is you can stack crystal bits. So what I like to do is I like to stack crystal bits, and I like to go with boots, tier 1 boots, so I can at least do a little bit more of an early chase. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll stack the triple bits in the beginning, and I'll just go with my support, and I'll just crazy push, and I'll try to engage and I'll steal farm. So for me, the whole purpose of engaging is not to get kills, okay? Keep that in mind. The purpose of early invasions in the enemy jungle is not to get kills. The purpose is to steal farm, and that's what you want to do. A lot of the characters that you will be facing against in the jungle, Glaive, Cruel, Taka, are super dependent upon farm and gold, okay? So if you can steal the farm, do it. Don't go chasing enemies. You know, maybe you get them low health. Don't go chasing the kill unless you know you can secure the kill. If you chase them all around the backside of the map, then what happens, and even if you kill one, what happens is either the laner's going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back and rotate and kill you, or the support is going to come back Or 2, the person you kill first is going to spawn back in and already be on your butt with full health. And so that's always the danger of being that far back in the enemy jungle, okay? Is that the spawns are really, really fast in the beginning of the game. So you got to kill people, steal farm, and you got to get out. It's got to be quick, and it's got to be fast. And if you can't take that extra minion, don't take it. Just get out, okay? Because your back farm is all going to be waiting for you, so you don't want to neglect your farm either. If you can do that successfully, you can pretty much have a leg up in the game in terms of levels and gold going into, the 5th minute of the game. And even more so, like if you're facing a Cruel, or you're facing a Taka, or you're facing a Glaive, you can pretty much shut them out of the game. Now from here, what I like to do is I go into Eclipse Prism, I go into Chronograph, and I'll rush that after Shock. At this point, I'm definitely going to start getting the defense. I'll probably sit at a reflex block, go to tier 2 boots, and then I'll look at what else I need to do from here. Now, if I can, I'll probably go for Shatterglass or Frostburn. But if people start countering me with an Aegis, then I'll go with the Broken Myth. A lot of people aren't countering Koshkas these days because her late game damage falls off. So they just kind of leave her and just say, nah, okay. So as long as you can survive the early game versus a Koshka, you don't really need to counter her so much. So for me, I would say, if you, knowing that as a Koshka player, then try to bypass the Broken Myth and go for the Shatterglass. Broken Myth as a CP power buff item is great if you're a ranged character, but not so great when you are a hit and run assassin like Koshka. You're not going to maintain the amount of stacks you need to really make it worthwhile, and the cost, seeing as it's like the most expensive item in the game, for you to even to get it, right? If the enemy is not building out a lot of shield. Okay, so if possible, go for that Shatterglass if you can. And then you want to finish off the Aegis. Now, what a lot of people are doing, what I'm doing these days, is I'm going double up on defense a lot of times. A lot of times I may actually go with the double, I might go with the Fountain of Renewal if I'm playing against a Scarf. I may go with a Metal Jacket if I'm playing against a Glaive. If it's a Glaive Scarf pairing, then I'm probably going to go with a double defense like this, and then save the last slot for that Broken Myth or whatever else I need to get. Whether I need to get the Shatterglass again, or Frostburn, or something else. Typically probably be the Broken Myth, because they will, a lot of people start building out the shield once they see you start deleting people. But if they're not building the shield, don't get it, go for the extra Shatterglass. But let's assume they do, and then this would be a very balanced build. Now, you may think that, okay, well, one Shatterglass and Aftershock may not be enough crystal power to get the kill, but keep in mind that your role as an assassin character is not to initiate and get a kill and go head-to-head 1v1 on somebody. Your role is to kill an already wounded target, okay? So keep that in mind. I mean, assassins are there to take out an already wounded target, and that's what you want to do when you're an assassin player, okay? I would not put Eve on Koshka. I think it's a waste of money. Eve is not going to save you in a battle. It's not going to save your life. It's not going to help you survive. It's really only for sustaining against somebody who's poking you a lot. But as a Koshka, because you have a speed burst, you can pretty much dodge any type of skill shot, whether it's Celeste Helio or whether it's a Scarf Spitfire, if you've got that speed burst, which she usually does. So the thing about assassins, and let's talk about the gameplay in assassins, okay? All right. You can use your Pouncy Fun to initiate on a target, and typically what you want to do is you want to come in and then you want to spam your ability and then get out. So that's what I like to do. So I like to jump in, spam B, and then get out. Do a basic hit and then spam B. Make sure you hit the basic hit. So I like to go in, boom, boom, basic hit, get out. So it's very simple. Then cycle around, hover, 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 pick your target, pick the weak target, and then boom, you're in, boom, you're in, you're out. Okay? And that's exactly what you want to do. And you always want to be fighting on the edge of the battle. So if there's a fight happening here and here, right, you want to be just in the edge of this, just on the outskirts, waiting for your time to jump in and to initiate the attack. Okay, now if you're jumping in the team fight and you're doing this, and you're just staying here, and you're just staying here until this ability comes up again, that's not what you want to do against somebody like a Glaive or Cruel or a lot of these other junglers, because they will destroy you, okay? So again, what you want to do is you want to go in, basic attack, and out. Skirt the edges, skirt the edges, skirt the edges, and then back in, boom. So remember, you keep a close eye on that cooldown. Keep a close eye on that cooldown of that B skill, okay? Who is better for Koshka in jungle, Adagio, Arden, Catherine, or Fortress? It really depends on your playstyle. If you're going to go super aggressive in the early game and you're confident in your supports player in their skill level, then a Fortress is going to be great, especially if you're countering a Cruel or a Taka or a Glaive. Then it'd be awesome because you can gold starve them by taking all their jungle farm. If you're in solo queue and you don't really trust so much, or you don't trust your support player so much, then I would definitely say an Arden is going to help better. And the reason is because even though Catherine's got a stun, the problem is the stun duration is quite short. And what you want to do is you want to keep Koshka alive as much as possible so that she can continue to proc her damages on her Aftershock and proc her power spikes. Because, you know, she can get a power spike, you know, 2, 3, 4 times in a game. So that's one thing. You want to keep in mind. So a lot of people I see in the old style of Koshka, they jumped in the team fight, they stuck around in the middle of the team fight, and they just got absolutely deleted. You want to make sure you're not doing that anymore. You're hit and run. Just make sure you get that basic attack, because that basic attack proc with the Aftershock is going to be doing most of your damage, and so keep that in mind. In late game, now you're going to fall off. You're not going to be doing a lot of damage in late game. So again, you're going to have to pick your targets, and you're going to have to be careful in terms of when you engage. Typically, you do not want to jump in on a target alone by yourself unless it's very clear that the enemy is by himself. Now another alternative you can do to this build is you can go an early Frostburn and then you can build out your Broken Myth you want, or you can build out a Shard Glass, and you can go this way too. So if the enemies are not building out any shielding, then you don't need Broken Myth. A lot of people forget about that. They're like, oh, they saw the build on Vainglory Fire and it said to build Broken Myth, so I'm going to go ahead and build Broken Myth. You need to build reactive to how your enemy builds. So if your enemy is not building out shielding and they're saying, oh, well, Ringo's a much bigger threat, we're going to build out armor, then realize that and don't build out Broken Myth. Okay? Then you can just go more Crystal Power. More Crystal Power is going to be better for you anyways in the late game. So again, be reactive to what the enemy is building. Don't build something for the sake of building it. Okay? Remember when you could do your Yummy Catnip Frenzy on minions? That was fun. Okay? Alright. So that's pretty much, that's pretty much a straightforward Koshka build for you. Alright.